Canelo Alvarez is back in the ring this weekend, and he's facing Edgar Berlanga, and he is a massive, massive favorite. This is going to be for multiple super middleweight championships. Edgar Berlanga, 22-0, 17 knockouts, is the contender who is part of reviving this Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. If you look over my left shoulder, you can see some Puerto Rican boxing gloves. I am Puerto Rican, and I can tell you that I don't think Edgar Berlanga has much of a chance, but we're going to talk about why that is the case and get into our best bets. Canelo Alvarez is one of the pound for pound best boxers in the sport. He has been for over a decade at this point. And he is one of the most accomplished guys at the sport who, despite being 34 years old, a professional boxer for 19 years now, and 65 fights into his career, is still as sharp defensively as he's ever been, is still one of the most fearsome power punchers probably in his division, despite the fact that he's not getting the finishes that he used to. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And he's one of the more well-rounded fighters in all of boxing. Edgar Berlanga is none of those things. What Edgar Berlanga is he's young, up and coming, 27 years old, and has been a pro for 8 years, but still seen as young, up and coming power puncher from New York City, who is of Puerto Rican descent, who is very strong. He's going to have the height advantage by several inches. He's 6'1". Canelo Alvarez is about 5'8", maybe. And Edgar Berlanga also is going to present a reach advantage here, 73 inches. And Canelo Alvarez is about 70 and a half in terms of reach. But the advantages that Edgar Berlanga has physically probably won't matter because Canelo Alvarez is better at everything. He's better at getting in and out of range. He has a better jab. He has better body work. He's better at moving his head, creating different angles, and boxing in a sophisticated way that Edgar Berlanga hasn't really shown the capabilities of doing during his career. He beat Patrice McCrory in his last fight, and I thought that was Edgar Berlanga's best showing of his career. It was a complete performance, and it was great for Edgar Berlanga. McCrory is not Canelo Alvarez. It's a very different level of opponent, and having a good showing against somebody like that, who, yes, ranked a contender in his division by multiple sanctioning bodies, doesn't mean you're ready for Canelo Alvarez. And maybe he never will be. It's entirely possible that that's the case. Okay, so here's what I like on this fight and what I've already put into the Action Network app. You can follow me there at my name. The first bet here, the first leg is Canelo Alvarez to score at least one knockdown. That's a minus 400 leg, minus 380 in some other books. I am convinced that Canelo Alvarez is going to score a knockdown in this fight. Edgar Berlanga's already been dropped. Edgar Berlanga's been dropped silly in the amateurs. I've seen the video that was shown to me by a trainer locally here in New York City. Canelo Alvarez can expose that chin. He dropped Jaime Munguia, who is somebody who has a better chin than Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga has a lot of defensive warts and holes in this game that Canelo Alvarez could easily expose. I think Canelo Alvarez is going to drop him at least one time. The other leg is over 6.5 rounds. The over-under is set at 8.5. That's a great line because I don't know which way I want to go on that one. I have said and have written that if you bet Canelo Alvarez to win by stoppage, look at rounds 7 through 12, which I still may or may not do. We'll see. Because I think this is going to be a later stoppage. Canelo Alvarez doesn't really stop guys that early anymore. If he stops them at all, he actually hasn't gotten a stoppage in about 3 years at this point. That's another piece of this. I think this is going to go on for a bit. I don't think this is going to be done that early. I could be wrong. Absolutely could be wrong. But that's just my feel on this. That parlay, by the way, minus 120. Another bet. This is at a different book. Canelo Alvarez to win and for round 7 to start. So similar look here. This is minus 140 at one particular book. So there's some juice there, but I do think this is going to happen. Canelo Alvarez is going to win this fight, and I do think round 7, we get to at least round 7. We may get to all 12, but I think we get to at least round 7. The last one here that I like. Edgar Berlanga to be knocked down between rounds 1 through 6. In this particular book, it's listed as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. We all know how to count here, though. That's minus 115 at that particular book. Those are the 3 bets that I like for this particular bout. Hoping to hit at least 2 of them. Ideally, we would hit all 3. We'll see what happens. But my feel on this is I'm confident Canelo Alvarez scores a knockdown in this fight, and I'm confident that he wins the fight. We'll see how long it takes, but I don't think because of the overwhelming skill set that he's going to stop Edgar Berlanga very early. In fact, I may think that given the back and forth these two have had, that he might enjoy making him suffer and punishing him for as long as this fight lasts. Also, one more fight that I do like on this card is in the co-feature. Erislandy Lara defending his title, middleweight title, against Danny Garcia, who hasn't fought in over 2 years. Lara is a former opponent of Canelo Alvarez, who arguably beat him many years ago. He's in his early 40s. I think he's going to win this fight by decision. He's a minus 230 favorite. When him winning by decision comes out, I'm going to take that regardless of what it is. If it's heavily juiced, I'll put it in a parlay, but I think that's how this fight is going to go. That's all we have for this particular card. Make sure that you do track your picks on the Action Network app. Enjoy the fights and make sure you bet responsibly. We'll talk again very soon.